So here is a graphical illustration of the procedure, and you can see it's fine, but actually I was especially a bit fast here, and I tried to hidden some very important detail, but now I want to be clear and honest with this procedure, and I want to specify what we have to fix around this procedure, and we reveal some further questions. So, first of all, to run the procedure, we have to specify the set of localizing schemes. So this is the set of candidates. So we have different bandwidths and different localizing schemes. So we want to select between. So this is more or less simple and clear how to do it. Just start with small bandwidths, end up with big bandwidths, and go exponentially. So this is one practical choice. It's typically no problem here, but actually the main question is here, the choice of critical values, and where these critical values come in. Again, so you see here, we test the hypothesis, or we check that the new estimate belongs to the confidence set of previous estimates. And you see here, you have Z, which depends on L. For every interval, for every estimate, we have the confidence set of certain widths. It's here. This width is fixed. But what is this width? This width depends on the critical value. Okay? And what it should be. And the question is how to select these critical values in the proper way. And just to comment on this, few history remarks. The procedure was suggested 2003. It was a 2000. Actually, it goes back to 97, something like this. It's rather old, but it was with one universal critical value, but still I got many times the question how to select this. And if you cannot answer this question rigorously, then you have no gain of this procedure. Because look, you want to select one model, WK star, which is the Oracle model. It's just one parameter you want to select. You introduce a procedure which actually contains many parameters. You have a set of critical values. So you want to select one parameter, you propose a procedure which contains capital K minus 1, and what is your gain? And the answer is, actually, we can select this critical value more or less once in your life and use it overall for all functions. The true value depends on the underlying function f, which we don't know, the true choice. We don't know which oracle is, but the critical values can be selected once, and the idea is to select them using the approach of hypothesis testing theory by fixing the first kind error probability. And this is what I will explain in the next slide. Here are just small comments that the set of bandwidths is selected to provide geometric growth. So every new value is so this ratio is between two numbers which are smaller than 1. This means so we have kind of exponential growth of local models. Okay, now about the critical values. Okay, now what we know in the parametric situation. We have this bound for the risk. This is the risk bound in the parametric situation. Now we want to select the critical value, and we use the idea to penalize, to check the performance, how the procedure works in the parametric situation. This is a general idea which we try to consistently apply everywhere. We only check everything, we know everything under the parametric modeling. So if the model is true, parametric model is true, we know everything. And we know what should come out of the procedure. Just think, suppose that the model is parametric globally. What should be out of this procedure? What is the oracle choice? If the model is parametric globally. The oracle choice corresponds to the largest bandwidth. Because we don't need localization. It is a parametric. It's not the case in the real life, but ideally we can imagine the data are from the parametric model. Then we know definitely what should come out of the procedure. And this is what we want to check. We run the procedure in the parametric ideal situation and check what comes out. If the outcome is exactly what we expected, this is a good choice of the critical values. So we define the critical values to provide that the procedure delivers what it has to deliver in the parametric situation. This means we check how the procedure works under the parametric assumption. So we fix the function f, we simulate the data from, we don't use the real data, we simulate the data from the true parametric model and look how the procedure works there. This is kind of bootstrap idea. And we compare the estimate tilde k, it's what should out of the procedure at the step k. This is the estimate, the case estimate. And theta hat k is the last accepted estimate after the step k. I go back to the procedure, I show you. So theta hat k is equal to theta tilde k if this estimate is accepted. If it is not accepted, it is the latest accepted estimate. Theta hat is the latest accepted. And in the parametric situation, the good performance means that this estimate, non-adaptive, and this adaptive coincide. This means we don't reject the hypothesis which is true. And we can reject only by biacation, by stochastic fluctuation. Our confidence sets are too narrow, and we, by chance, go out of confidence intervals. So if our critical values are too small, these two estimates are different, and therefore this guy is too big. There is a difference between two likelihoods, and this difference is zero if they coincide. Is not zero, is not coincide. Is measure analog of first kind error probability here. And our condition which we impose here is that this guy, this is a measure of the error of the first kind, normalized by the risk, is smaller than alpha. Okay, so, and important remark is that the theta hat k depends only on the first, actually here should be k minus 1. Depends on the first k minus 1 critical values. And this allows to select the critical value sequentially. Okay, this is another interpretation of this condition, and this is very general condition and approach. Once again, it relies to this idea of hypothesis testing theory. We look how the procedure works in the parametric situation, and we always compare the non-adaptive estimate for the CAS model and the adaptive estimate. And this guy should be small, so this is once again repeated here. And this alpha, therefore, can be viewed as a significance level for the multiple test procedure we apply. So in total, here we see we have this condition should be fulfilled for all step k. So we have actually capital K minus 1 condition for K minus 1 parameters. So as many conditions as the parameters, and we select the critical values, the minimal critical values, such that these conditions, all these conditions are fulfilled simultaneously. This is the idea. And what is important here, this check of this condition is completely done in the parametric situation. So this means we only check how the procedure works with critical value in the parametric situation. And if we did it once, it's done. The procedure is fixed. And then you apply it all the time in all your applications. So it depends on the model, it depends on the set of localizing scheme, but after you fix it, everything is done, and you can run it and use Monte Carlo to fix this value. We have here, to do this, we have two more parameters. here small r and alpha. Okay, now, so the cycle is on a without end, so you cannot do the procedure without any parameter, unfortunately. So we still have two parameters, and I'm happy that we have that, actually. The parameter r is your loss function, and the parameter alpha is kind of test level. And in hypothesis theory, you know there is this alpha, and nobody requires to fix this alpha for all the applications. It should be alpha 5% or 1% or 1/10 of percent. It depends on the application. And this is the same flavor for alpha. Alpha measures how good we should be in the parametric situation. Small alpha means we are very conservative, larger alpha less conservative. And R we fix to 1/2, just one universal value. Okay, so this we will illustrate how the critical values depend on alpha on R by Monte Carlo study. Okay, now there is a small suggestion how critical value can be selected by a sequential procedure. I don't want to go into the details, but the idea is to fix it y by 1. You just count. First, you consider the case when all the error can be done only at the first step, and this can be done only by the first critical value, and then you have the condition on the Z1. With Z1 fixed, you do the same for Z2 and etc. So if you're interested in the details, you can check on the slides, but it's rather instructive, and this is how we do it for all our applications, by this sequential choice. And this is actually done by Monte Carlo simulations. Here. Now I want to illustrate this procedure for some particular examples. So first consider local model selection procedure for local constant Gaussian regression. So we have Gaussian shift family with this log likelihood, you know this. So this means this is a true model. True model is usual regression with Gaussian errors. Okay? Now our local parametric approximation is that the function f is locally constant. This means local constant Gaussian regression. Okay, now we have a set of localizing shim with different bandwidths, and we have local estimate. For every localizing shim, local estimate is our mean of this N2 distance, localized by the weights, and we know the solution is not the Rayleigh-Watson estimate. Okay. Now, if we have a set of localizing shim, we have a set of estimates, which each of them is this weighted average, or the Rayleigh-Watson estimator. For different k, we have different bandwidths. And now we want to select one of them. So fitted likelihood we know is in this very simple form, and therefore the confidence interval is just symmetric interval around the estimate. And this zeta critical value enter here directly. Is really the factor, the width is proportional to the square root of zeta. Okay, now the procedure is like follows. So we start with first estimate, and again we check this condition that each estimate theta k belongs to all the previous confidence sets. And we'll look at the latest accepted estimator. Good, so the parameters, so what we know here, that the risk bound is universal, here doesn't depend on the true model, and therefore this leads to the very simple condition which you have to check by the choice of the critical values. That's the adaptive estimator, difference between the adaptive estimator here and after step k, and the weak estimator or non-adaptive estimator corresponding to the case model. This difference in the parametric situation is bounded by this constant alpha times CR. CR is the to earth moment of the normal random variable. And this condition can be checked for one particular theta star, for instance, for theta star equal to 0, because here this difference, the distribution does not depend on theta star. This constant value plays no role here. So you really can do it once for Gaussian regression, and this is done. Okay, so you have a sequential choice. I don't go into the details. Now what we can do for local constant exponential family. So now we have this model. Yi is distributed from the given family, for instance, Bernoulli or exponential or volatility, but the parameter of this distribution depends on the location xi. This is a function f, and local constant approximation means that the function f is nearly constant on the local neighborhood. Now we know how to estimate its maximum likelihood. The solution we know is again Noderai-Watson. If we apply the natural parameterization, the fitted likelihood is a local sample size times the Kullback-Leibler distance, and the confidence set is now in terms of this fitted likelihood is not necessarily symmetric now around theta tilde, but can be constructed explicitly. And the procedure looks now like follows. You start from the smallest estimate, and the criteria for acceptance looks like here. The estimate theta tilde k is accepted if this difference is bound by the corresponding critical value. So this measure. For all L smaller than k. This means that theta k belongs to all the confidence sets of previous estimates. And we take again the latest accepted estimate. And so here we have important property for some families, Gaussian shift, volatility, exponential. We can do the choice of the critical value for any theta star. And this does not depend on theta star. So this is important, this kind of pivotality of the test statistics and the parametric situation. And this is the case for all the family when the parameter is a kind of shift or scale parameter. If it is not shift, not scale, this property is not fulfilled, and the critical value for Bernoulli and Poisson model are still depending on theta star. This makes a little bit complicated, more complicated as a computation of critical value, but this is what Stislav will present right now. Again, you can select the critical value sequentially, and this is the general theoretical result. There are reasons that the critical values can be bounded in all the cases logarithmically in the local sample size. So the critical values actually is the values, but you can ask what is the range of this value, and this is the upper bound, which says that the critical values are at most logarithmic in the local sample size. And this is an important result because this critical value will appear in the risk of estimation. Good. Now I think this is a good point to illustrate how this procedure works and how the critical values depend on the parameter alpha and L. And then I ask Stislav to show this.
So thank you. Up to now we have learned about the theory behind this, the local parametric approach, and also about the practical approach to the solution of this problem, about the procedures. And I will try to show how the procedures work in practice, and to give an overview to show what happens inside the algorithm. So, first of all, I will briefly repeat, for the sake of completeness, something that we have already heard. So we consider a time series with discrete time, and what we want to estimate is the observations are distributed, follow the distribution known to a parameter that has to be estimated. And our problem consists in the estimation of this parameter on the right edge of the time series. So we want to estimate the parameter in the latest point on time, based on the past observations. We do some assumptions. We consider here only the easiest case, the simplest case. First of all, we limit ourselves to the local constant regression. That means that we assume that for the point T with diamond, this is the latest point, the right edge of the interval that I have shown. There exists some interval from T diamond minus n to T diamond. It means that this is the interval which has the right edge at T diamond and has the length of n. And we assume that in this interval the parameter can be well approximated by a constant. So it does not change very much in this interval. And it means that we assume that within this interval the small modeling bias condition holds. The further limitation is that we select the weighting schemes in a particular way. Namely, the weights of the observations are equal to 1 if the observation belongs to the interval that we are considering, and 0 otherwise. It means that when we calculate the weak estimates corresponding to an interval, we observe only the observations within this interval, and no observations that lie outside. Under these conditions, the calculation of the weak estimate looks like this. It is simply the mean value of the observations inside the interval.
What is capital N here?
Capital N is the length of the interval.
But wasn't it called K, small k before?
No. Small k is the number of the step. We don't have a sequence yet. I just...
NK.
NK.
So
yes.
NK. I can think of NK then?
Yes. You see NK because I didn't say anything about the sequence of intervals and weak estimates yet. I only spoke about one interval up to now.
Okay, I got it. You can use the machine to...
See. So we now consider a sequence of nested intervals that all have the right edge at the point T with diamond at the latest time point. And we now know how to calculate the sequence of weak estimates that correspond to this sequence of intervals. So our problem of estimating the parameter at the right edge now boils down to the following question. Either we have a nested sequence of intervals and we want to find the largest interval that within which the small modeling bias condition still holds. Or equivalently we can say that we want to select from the sequence of weak estimate, find the best one, which is the good one as we now know, which is the best one in terms of bias invariance.
It's the best one.
We have heard already
We don't know how it is defined. Because there are many ways to define it.
Go on.
But we know that weak estimates that correspond to...
I like this transparency. Okay.
We know that weak estimates that correspond to smaller intervals have smaller bias but larger variance, whereas the weak estimates that correspond to larger intervals show larger bias and smaller variance. So we have to find the best weak estimate, the one that has the smaller variance but still also small bias.
We want to find a compromise.
Yes.
Which is the bias and the variance. Okay.
Now we go to the demonstration itself. I need to run the problem. So here we have three windows. The upper window shows the time series, just the high frequency data, and the blue line will show the adaptive estimate. Up to now,
Simulated?
yes, it is simulated.
So what's the true model?
The Poisson. And the middle window shows the weak estimates along with the confidence intervals that have been calculated based on the critical values. Here, in this case, I have already prepared the critical values because it is somewhat a time-consuming operation. It is not practical to do this now. So for now, we have already a sequence of weak estimates and also the corresponding critical values.
Maybe you can comment how much it takes. So it's in terms of minutes, hours, days to compute the critical values.
On a typical modern computer, for the 20,000 Monte Carlo paths, it takes about half a minute to calculate a set of.
The critical values are also localized.
Well, critical
Critical
values
value is a property of an interval in this case.
So if you move another time, you have to recompute all the critical values.
Actually, critical values do depend on the position too.
No, it's not true. Actually, critical values are depending on the setup. And if you fix a sequence of intervals, of lengths, of bandwidths, then the sequence of critical values is also fixed. It does not change with time.
It depends on the waiting sequence.
So then, for this simulation, it's one set of critical values for different time points.
For all.
In this case.
For all time points.
No, just
It only depends on the, can I say, on the waiting sequence that you define.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, the only input here is the complex waiting sequence, right?
Alpha,
So W and alpha and error. So W1 up to WK, capital K, and alpha and error. And which error should we take? Which one error did you take here?
which what?
1/2.
R
equal to 1/2. And
yes.
alpha equal to?
Here to 0.2.
0.2.
Yes.
But you show this dependence.
Yes, I will show some pictures showing the influence of these R and alphas on the critical values.
So what do we see down there in the middle plot?
In middle plot, we see the weak estimates. The horizontal position of each point shows the length of the interval.
So that's theta 1 wiggle, or
Yes.
Yes.
the next one is theta 2
Theta 2 with wave and so on.
and so on and so on. That's
Up to-
theta capital K wiggle.
Yes, that's true. Because all the intervals start at the right edge here and
Okay.
grow to the left.
And this is the corresponding interval.
And the corresponding interval is
So we see
the,
where we have to
distance
stop.
between.
Yeah, the red line is the first time of violation.
Here we see that the K-1 estimate, K-1 estimate
But the
has
green one
a
also
green
doesn't.
line. Yes, it means
The
that it
green
is.
one.
Green one cross all the preceding.
This is the green one. Yes.
No, it doesn't go through the six confidence interval.
You mean this one?
Yeah.
It actually does. It is an optical.
My
effect.
eyes are so bad.
Yeah, it's
this-
the problem of your eyes, but not our problem.
This is not,
Yeah.
this is not an artificial image. It is
So,
actually
cannot-
calculated. I will now.
so disabled people cannot use your program. So it's not barrier free.
I will just.
And now you see how it works live.
That's great. I love this. So what do we see downstairs? The lambda or what?
The lower window shows the length of the accepted interval. If we formulate the problem as the problem of selecting the largest homogeneous interval, then this image shows its length.
Yeah, but the length is so the length always varies here.
Yes, because
Between the capital K minus 1 and capital K minus 2.
No, you see here some jumps down.
there are some jumps.
This is
and
just some randomness. Yeah.
So this is exactly
But
about
this is under the
alpha.
null, right? This is under the null. Everything, so lambda
Yeah.
actually doesn't change here.
this is homogeneous case for the moment.
Yeah,
Homogeneous
now
case.
I
It doesn't change also the parameters.
So I get it.
Now with the jump.
So this is the non-interesting situation.
Yeah.
Yes, this is homogeneous. Now we do the jump. See what happens.
Where do you jump? Ah, so exactly when you hit, then you jump.
Yes. Now we see that
Good. But now it should constantly again.
Yeah,
It should increase.
do it step by step.
It should increase. Ah, it increases. Hello, it's good.
So see here.
we see that
So this is the time to change.
This was a jump here.
And this estimate should be accepted, and this one should not be. And this is exactly what we see. And run it step by step.
This one does cross, the green line does cross this confidence interval. Now it is more clear.
And
So
it
the
step by
green line
step.
shows the accepted estimate, the latest, the last accepted estimate, and the red line shows the estimate that has not been accepted.
But it should increase now, right? Because you are now at a different.
Yeah,
Yes.
and now run it automatically. Just see. Yeah, you see here, now it goes, so the time this change point goes down, and you see here, so here there's the latest accepted, here, and each time, so you go further and further to the history.
Green
And
line
this
also
is,
succeeds.
you can see here, the length of the selected interval grows linearly,
It has to grow,
but it grows linearly. It,
but rather slow.
but exactly how it should be. It's the same, it's just a question of the scaling. It is scaled to the largest intervals, therefore. It grows exactly linearly with time. So it works exactly how it should work. So it goes in the history up to the interval. So this interval should be accepted and this one should not be.
Of course not. No.
And you see this exactly what happens. Do one more change.
Can you change the jump size?
Exactly.
Yes, I'm doing it now.
This is here. This is how the value to which you jump. So everybody can run, can play with this program. So it's free.
Okay, jump please to 17.
You want a small change. I can
Exactly.
do it to
It's
18.
okay. 18 is also okay. I want to have a small change. I want to see delta. See what the.
I'm afraid that it is not easy to see from
Yeah,
this.
you can see
images.
it a little bit up there.
There is some.
No, certainly it is detected.
It is detected. Yeah, sure.
So, and actually, it's not now, it will be done. At the moment, we cannot select the model here within the demo program, but we have to restart it with the models like Broadway or volatility, etc. But it works for different models. And actually, this program automatically computes the critical values if we don't have them computed previously.
What's U0 and U?
Sorry, user?
Hmm?
You mean the size of the smallest interval and
This ratio, right? It grows exponentially. NK divided by n minus 1. And this is given by the bounds U0 and U.
I have to think, but the smallest interval is 20 points and the largest one is 600 points.
Mm-hmm.
So
I guess it's the factor
And you
1.25.
grow with growth rate? Growth rate?
growth rate is
10%?
1.25, I think.
1.25. So the usual parameters.
Yes.
Okay. The killer question is, of course, why didn't you do it on real data?
I have developed it in this form only last week.
Okay, that's acceptable.
Acceptable answer. Okay, so then
So this is what
Very nice.
all about the local model selection. I have another demonstration for the local change point.
but it will come later. But maybe you show something about the critical values.
Now we return to this thing.
So,
Look at the influence of the alpha and r's on the critical values. First of all, we consider not only of alpha and r, but also of the unknown true parameter. Here is exactly this case. Here we consider the Poisson model and the LCP method. No, I will skip to LMS for now. We will return to this later when we will have described the LMS, the LCP. So this is, in this case, I plotted the critical values for the Bernoulli distribution and for the LMS method. Here I have so-called, I call them standard values, and in this graph I changed one of them. In this case it was the unknown true value, and we see that this unknown true value does influence the critical values, but not very much. We can see some difference, but it is not dramatic, so to say. The next image shows the influence of the alpha of the test level. This parameter alpha has the sense of the test level, and
Is it clear what is shown here? Maybe I just make very small comment. So I recall we have not one critical value, but a set of critical values. And what we see here, this is the critical value for the first interval.
No,
Yeah.
it is for the latest
This is-
interval. This,
In the first.
yes, right.
This is the length. And what we see here, the critical values decrease here. And there is a good reason for this. So at the beginning, we have to be very conservative. Why? Because we pay a lot for the false alarm at the beginning. If we stop at the first step, we select very small interval. The oracle interval is very big. We stop very early, just false alarm. And this has big costs. And therefore, at the beginning of the procedure, we have to be very conservative. We select rather big critical values. But later, at the end, we don't need to be very conservative, because if we stop one step before the end, it's not critical. It's also good interval. It's only 20% less than the optimal one. So we have enough data. So therefore, we can select the critical value in this shape, and this sequential procedure automatically provides this shape. This is important message.
How do we have to interpret this alpha stuff?
Alpha stuff here, very simply. Alpha small means we are very conservative. We have very big payment for first kind error probability. So difference should be very, very small between oracle and adaptive. Adaptive and oracle. And therefore, for alpha small, we have big critical values. We are systematically more conservative. If alpha increase, this means something like testing level is decreasing, and therefore the critical values are smaller or less conservative. So you see this systematically below, but still, so the shape is the same, and the variation in critical values is not so big. So in this demonstration, we use alpha between these two. So it's fine. So still the procedure is still rather sensitive.
The weights are again defined. with
Weights are the intervals.
20, 1.25 is the.
This is the length of intervals. No, it's it's missing. So it grows with a factor of 1 point, so by 20%.
Why does it say here true value 0.5?
Because it's a Bernoulli model.
Okay, so
It does that.
It depends on the true value. But very minor.
So what about, no, actually not. If the true value is very close to 1 or 0, you're in trouble.
Yes, there might be a numerical
You are in
problem.
trouble.
Only numerical, not in the critical values. Even
So
for,
have you made tests? So
it takes another 2 minutes to compute.
Uh-huh.
It depends on the computer. So we can do it afterwards, as many times as you want. So.
And this R power there, this parameter is the small r.
Yes.
Continue. We will see what
The
happens.
next slide shows the influence of R on the critical values.
And R, the R parameter is again what?
Half.
What half?
No, the quality, the interpretation.
It is.
Loss function.
The power of loss function.
So if you go here
Yeah, sure, but
to 0, you approach
it's the
the probability.
loss function. It has to do with the Kullback-Leibler.
It's Kubrick-Leibler to the R. It's just loss function.
But how do you interpret it?
No, R equal to 1 is quadratic loss. It's R equal to 1/2. It's the L1 loss.
So also some kind of being conservative or not conservative.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So this is missing on our transparencies. This interpretation.
It's yes. It was done recently, therefore it's still missing. Of course, all these diagrams should be on our transparency.
Yeah. So we should hire a Langen.
Okay, so it's a good preparation. So now about the theory for local model selection procedure. So now we learned there are 2 theorems. One theorem is the parametric one, and second theorem is the result under SMB. now we need one more theorem, and this theorem is called Oracle result. And so what I would like to explain is that this Oracle result consists of two messages, or two parts. The first part is called propagation. And this propagation is a very important principle. This is the basic principle of this procedure. What means propagation?
You have to say it's of type 1, 2, or 3.
Propagation is 3.
3.
So what means this propagation? This means, so we go sequentially. And we know what we want. We want that the procedure does not stop as long as the small modeling bias condition is fulfilled. So this condition means that the parametric approximation is okay. And this is an indication everything should be fine, we should not stop. We should stop only when this condition is violated. And the result, the first result, the propagation result, says the following: the construction of our procedure automatically provides this property. Why? Because we know in the parametric situation, this difference between the Oracle estimate, the final estimate for this K star, and this estimate selected by the procedure, this difference is under control. This is by construction under the control in the parametric situation. This is our construction. We constructed the procedure, we selected the critical value such that these two estimates do not differ significantly in the parametric case. Now we are not in the parametric case. We are now under SMB, but we have this nice trick which allows us to state the result under the true measure, here EF. We have the true measure, we pay this log, but we have this ratio bounded. So what is bounded in the expectation and the parametric measure continues to be bounded with this log under the true measure. This is a propagation result, and this result is for free. Why it's for free? Because this is what we know from the construction in the parametric situation, and if we additionally assume until K star here there is this small modeling bias condition, then we automatically have this result. So this is just a corollary of our construction. So this propagation result is just a reformulation of our definitions. So what we learn from this theorem? If a real function is not constant for parametric, but it is nearly constant or nearly parametric in this sense, then the procedure delivers the prescribed quality of estimation. This is by construction. Now, okay, if we stop at this step, K star, we don't run the procedure later. Everything is fine. But we don't know this K star. We don't know until which point this goes. We run this procedure until the end. So it might be that the final estimate will be damaged afterwards, after propagation. So we need something after propagation. So this is, I skip, so this is the illustration of this propagation. And this second property we need is called stability. Stability, it means, so propagation is not true anymore. Propagation condition, this means the small modeling bias condition is now violated. This is what we observed in the demonstration. We run, and now the neighborhood is too large that constant approximation does not apply anymore. Then the procedure can stop, but can be that it goes further. What we can say about the final estimator? And there is the following theorem, which we call stability theorem, which says that the final estimate actually belongs to the confidence interval of any previous estimate. Okay? This is the message of this theorem. The final estimate, that is, estimate theta hat, is accepted. Okay? And this acceptance means that this estimate belongs to all previous confidence intervals. And particularly, it belongs to the confidence interval of the Oracle estimator K star. And this is exactly what is written here. So the stability result means the final estimate does not deviate much from the good oracle estimate corresponding to the model K. And for the model K, we know this propagation result. So if we put these two results together, then we have the oracle result, and this is resulted here. This is the final result of the whole theory, theorem type 3 result. So what we see here, actually we split this result in the 3 parts. The first part says that the estimate theta tilde k star is a good one. And this is a good one because this condition is fulfilled for the model k star. Small modeling bias condition is fulfilled for k star. This is the oracle choice. And for this oracle choice, we know that the corresponding estimate, if we just without any adaptation select this estimate, we have the parametric quality. This is a type 2 theorem here. Secondly, we have the propagation result. Propagation result says that the adaptive estimate for the step k star does not deviate much from this oracle choice. So this deviation is under the control between theta tilde k star and theta hat k star. This is a propagation result. So before we leave this propagation zone, if we are still under SMB, everything is fine and the procedure shows what should be. And now the final estimate, theta hat, does not deviate from this guy much. This is the stability result. And this is again the property of the procedure, of the definition of this procedure. So if we put everything together, we can say that the final estimate delivers the same quality as the oracle one. And this is the idea of the oracle result. And exactly what we want to say, that the final estimate theta hat delivers the same quality as the oracle estimate, which we don't know. And if we project this result to the regular case, what we can show is that the oracle estimate can be decomposed like this, and we have the quality nk star to the -1/2. This is the quality of the oracle estimate, and the same quality will be achieved by the adaptive estimator up to this factor zk. And this zk is a kind of payment for adaptation. So you see here, the difference between the final estimate and the oracle is somehow proportional to this zk. If this zk is large, we pay more. And here you see where this alpha and error p once again, because zk, we showed this, depends on alpha and error. And if we increase, decrease alpha, we increase zk, we increase the payment for adaptation. Yeah. Okay, so this is again the illustration. Here, so until K star we have this propagation phase. So this first part of the result. Here in this zone we have SMB. So this zone, small modeling bias condition, and by construction we know in this part everything is fine just because the parametric approximation is good. Here we cannot do it because here the SMB is destroyed, is violated. We don't have good parametric approximation. And here we apply stability, which is a property of the procedure. So this part is a property of the parametric approximation. It has nothing to do with the procedure. And this part, stability, is a property of the procedure. So stability, so good procedure is the one which provides stability. And this part doesn't rely to the procedure at all. It is zeta. Should be zeta. It's another letter. Yes.
Should be Z, right?
Yeah, ZK. So you see, really the oracle result is a combination of these two properties. Propagation of stability, which together give oracle. Okay, so this is the theory for for this
Just
illustration.
one picture.
Not very good. So oracle property can be illustrated for Gaussian regression. If we repeat this theorem for Gaussian regression, you see again that this property oracle minus true value is of order nk star to the minus 1/2. This difference again is of the same order nk to the minus 1/2, and this difference again is of order nk star to the minus 1/2. And this means the oracle it deviates from the true value by nk to the minus 1/2. So you have the optimal quality up to this factor zk.
But wait. Now you have zk star. It should be zk, right?
K star.
Zk star. No, zk. It is true for all k less equal than k star.
No, we only apply it once for zk star.
Then go back. Then there's an error on the other slides. There.
Should be K star.
Also, okay, that's another error.
Thank you.
I was wondering.
Here should be the K star. It's the definition of the procedure. Theta hat is after and should be K star. Okay, so the same is for local constant exponential family. Again, you have the same type of the result, but here you have this instead of instead of quadratic difference, you have Popoff-Lagrange. This is the only difference.
And k star here also.
Should be here should be K star. I don't know what should be here. It's again the same illustration of propagation and stability. This illustration seems to be better for exponential case. So here in the propagation zone you have small bodily bias condition which guarantee that the procedure works properly, and in this part you have stability in the procedure. Okay, so this is the end of the local model selection. Good point for the break. Yeah? And we will have a short break, and then I show the other procedure, which is a local model, local change
Change for the volatility stuff as well.
for volatility stuff.